to welcome you to our program today. We have a special guest with us. His name is Jim Munson, and he works with the Clarity Clinic that has offices in both Dubuque and Platteville. And so, Jim, I want to welcome you.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thanks so much for your willingness to be on the program today.
Yes.
And as I mentioned, that the Clarity Clinic has got offices in both Dubuque and Platteville, but you work at the Platteville office.
Specifically.
And so now, as we look at the Clarity Clinic, define exactly, what is the Clarity Clinic? Because I know, being a pastor in Platteville, driving by and seeing the sign and the office, wondering, what is that? And so maybe people have heard of the Clarity Clinic, they have seen the signs, and so, so when people drive by or they hear Clarity Clinic, what is it exactly?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here, Pastor Pedersen. But yes, Clarity Clinic is a pregnancy center, which we work with women who are usually going through an unplanned pregnancy. One of our goals there is that every service that we offer is free. There's no charge for it. So we offer medical services as far as for ultrasounds, testing for pregnancy, walking them through their full pregnancy, whatever the case may be. But we also offer some other programs, like one would also be is counseling. We also help them with counseling. So for example, if a woman decides that maybe she doesn't want to keep her baby, we have options for a couple things would be give them up for adoption, or maybe look at that type of option that you want to get into. Or possibly, like I said, again, there might be some other things that we might want to discuss, that you may want to keep your child and things of that nature. So there's other ways and means that you can also walk with us without feeling just the pregnancy itself.
So it's helping young mothers, as far as helping them through the time of pregnancy, and then after the baby is born, to walk with them, and maybe quite an emphasis too that for mothers who have a baby who at first is wasn't planned. So to speak.
Yes.
And so, how did you get involved with the Clarity Clinic? Well, first of all, I just want to say that Jim is a very strong Christian. As I have had conversation with him, he's a very strong Christian, a Spirit-filled believer. It's obvious God's work in his life and how God lives and moves in his person, and how God continues to call him day by day. And so I'm just kind of curious, how did God, as God was nudging your heart to say, I want you involved in this ministry, working with the Clarity Clinic, how did all that come about?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I spent probably the last almost 12 to 15 years, but about 13, 14 years working with the homeless. And I worked with the homeless population in Grant County with the Department of Human Service. And then I went to Hillcrest for a while and worked with them as far as working here in Dubuque, Iowa with the homeless. And then one day, actually, Chris Nauman, who was the executive director for Clarity Clinic, gave me a call and asked something about possibly looking at working for them as a development director. And it kind of caught me off guard because I wasn't sure, I wasn't looking for any employment or anything along that line. But as the more I visit with her and the more I learned more about this, the more I started to realize that maybe this is where I do belong. Maybe I have the skills and knowledge and ability that could do this. And like you said, I had the faith-based background, and I did enjoy very much so. And Clarity Clinic is a faith-based organization. When you come there, they will pray with you. When you come there, we do talk about things within God and what God has purpose for us, and to give people hope. And I think when I was kind of kicking this around, I had a little difficulty figuring, should I stay or should I go, Lord? Is it really what you want me to do? The Lord said, well, Jim, you kind of represent the voiceless people that were homeless, and you gave them a voice. You're doing the same for the baby in the womb. You're really giving him or her a voice. And he said, and you're doing the same thing. So go on out there and just do your same kind of practice, and it'll work out. So, yeah.
Well, very good. Now, a lot of times, when we hear about everything now seems to be kind of hot topic. Like there's always these political hot buttons around, and you hardly even get a chance to say who you are, and people right away come to some kind of a judgment. Oh, you're one of those. Yep. Boom, here's the political hot topic button. And so right away people will get that pressed, and they'll either be all for what you're doing or all against what you're doing. But really, as I have visited with you in the past, that I really can appreciate it. It's not like you're here to kind of say it's one way or the other, or you're here to just press buttons and things like that. And, and you know, we hear, you know, all this stuff about, you know, abortions and things like that. And, you know, certainly you take a very strong stance for life, but it's not like you're just throwing people who, you know, have maybe a different view than you off the back of the train, so to speak.
Yes. Yeah, I know a lot of times people say pro-choice or pro-life, and I really try to avoid it because I feel like it's making a huge divide line between us. And I don't think we're that far off from what we believe in and how close we are. I kind of say I'm more pro-family. I believe the family is created through a woman, but also there's a man involved with it, and then there's the child. So that's so we care about all three entities, technically speaking, at Clarity Clinic. So it's not just about mom and the baby. We actually want to know about dad, because down about fall time here, we're going to go into another program where we're going to help men through some of these strong issues, especially when we're talking about, and we might be getting near this post-abortion. We offer counseling for women who have had already an abortion, who's maybe struggling with a lot of those emotions. So again, this is a free service. We offer this for women. And we found out that men are suffering from the same consequences. They're feeling the same emptiness, that they might have did something inside that made them not feel comfortable. And they don't know where to put that at. So again, we're encouraging men, women, and like I said, the whole family to come. And we want to help them out through the process so it's not only just prior to and help them maybe prevent making a regretful decision, but also if they already done, we still encourage them to come back. We still want to be open.
So there's just so much love and concern and care that goes into people generally, and whatever stage or whatever it is that you're there for them, that nobody should feel like, oh, it's one of those clinics. You know, I've been on this side of the fence, and so if I go in there, it's just going to be all warfare, and that's not the case. You're going to go, when people go into your clinic, they will experience, you know, a loving, non-judgmental attitude and an acceptance to say, you know, that we are here for you.
I think the best way, we're going to meet them where they're at. Yes, that's just what we're going to do. Yep, you're going to get there. Like I said, we're not going to, you know, preach and teach you into the ground or whatever the case. We more want to know is what your needs are and how can we help you. And how can maybe through our, like I said again, our pregnancy counseling or options that are available, or our post-abortion support, whatever the case may be, or reproductive health seminars, we have all kinds of resources available that we can help walk them through that process. So if a woman does decide to keep her baby, we have a first step program where we can help them with that program, and that program basically just helps them be a better mom. And yep, we got some information on that.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that first step program. Because here again, you offer some very good programs here, and I think that these programs, you know, we certainly need to highlight them today. And so here's one. Yeah, it's called the First Step Program, First Steps Program, plural. And so what's the emphasis of this program?
This one is for women who decide they want to keep their baby, but obviously it's a very daunting thing for them to keep. They say, well, how am I going to be able to do this? Some may be still in high school saying, how can I finish off my education piece? Or some might say, I'm not employed at this point. How do I become employed, and where am I going to live at? And things of that nature. What the First Step program works in 4 real strong basic areas, and I just named the 2, employment and education. The other one is birthing and delivery, so we help them with that process. And then we get into healthy relationships, and that's key to this. This healthy relationship is a couple folds. One, it's between the mother and child, so we do a lot of DVDs on that, and they can learn things. And we actually have one-on-one type of mentoring, we want to say, or teaching with our own people there that work there, either through volunteers or through our own counseling. And then, like I said, again, we also not only offer them this one-on-one type of work with each other, we also give them an opportunity they call mommy's money or baby bucks, whichever you want to call. But as they make through each program and they go through each DV and they learn more about series, how to be a better mom, how to nurture better, they can actually take this money and buy things from us, like next to new clothing. They can buy, like I said, Similac, diapers. To give us some idea about cost is very reasonable. We don't make any money on this. A brand new crib costs $17. So it just gives you some idea what our cost is at. So you can get strollers to everything from us. at that point. So it helps them kind of start seeing how they're putting stuff together when they're baby. They can start saying, well, now I got his first outfit. Now I got something that I can start feeling it's going to happen. And we walk with them a year or two with this process to help them find a place, help them, you know, find the employment or finish off and get their GED, whatever they need to, or continue their education to make them viable people.
Yeah, so the First Step program, because I would think, you know, for a young mother that, especially when they're so young like that, they must feel so afraid. Here again, I don't know what maybe there's just a whole plethora of emotions, but
Yes.
maybe so afraid, maybe so alone. You know, how can I do this? And to know that there are people, and I like the whole emphasis that you make, that you are there to walk with them,
That's
and
right.
as you walk with them, to say, this is how your life gets brighter and brighter.
Yep.
You know, to say that this is doable, you can do it.
Yes, I believe the First Step program, I mean, nothing's more tougher is that when she says, my mother maybe sees her baby for the first time in ultrasound and decides to keep it and sees that it's actually is a life inside her. I think it's very difficult to be able to kind of put those pieces together on her own. Sometimes they don't have the infrastructure. The parents might say, sorry, you can't bring this home, we're not going to put up this. The boyfriend could be pushing a little bit saying, I just soon you have abortion than possibly keep the baby. So she's very much alone, and sometimes it feels hopeless. Our goal really there is to give them hope, is to say we can do this, we will walk with you, we will support you, and we pray that the other ones will come back in the loop, and a lot of times they will, as they see how she's putting the dots together and building this up in a relationship and taking some initiative on her own, but with the good support of what's coming from Clarity. A lot of times the other ones that were the informal support will start coming in again. So it's a wonderful time, yes.
Yeah, so to be pro-life, it's more than just taking, in a sense, a political stance. It's really walking there to say we're pro-life because we're walking with life here.
Exactly. Yes, yes.
And that we're seeing this through. It's more than just lip service. It's more,
Right.
you know, taking and putting your faith into action, so to speak.
Yes, yes, very much
Walking what you talk.
so. Yes.
Okay, so that's the First Steps program. And then I'm so impressed here. Now you've got a program on boundaries. You know, I hear so much
Yes.
about boundaries and how important it is to have boundaries in our lives. And if we don't, then the world will have us spinning like a top or taking advantage of us and, you know, really hurting our lives. And so having good, healthy boundaries are so very important. So why don't you explain a little bit about, you know, how you go about the boundaries workshop and all of what, you know, some of the topics that are covered there.
Yeah, this is a new program for us. What we did is we started to realize that young adults are getting hit every day through their iPods or phones or internet, just one click away, and they can be getting something that maybe they don't want to see or shouldn't be part of. So we wanted to educate not only just the children themselves and the young adults themselves, but we also wanted parents to understand a little bit. I mean, even a simple Xbox can actually get pornography on it. So you think, well, my son's in his bedroom, there's Xbox, and he may not intentionally, but there's still things available that really are not being censored these days. So Healthy Boundaries gives parents some insight to be able to approach those topics with their kids and also put some guards up, to be able to say, you know, we really need to look at this more differently than what we thought it was. It may not be as friendly in our home as we think it is. And second, it also helps us to work with the churches in regards to their youth programs with their high school and their middle-aged students, to be able to teach them things along like what's a dangerous application, how does that get on your phone. I mean, believe it or not, human trafficking is very, very popular. In fact, Wisconsin kind of leads the way in those states of being one. So we have a lot of trouble in our own state of trafficking. I think it's because we're in the tri-state area and it's easy to push kids off to another state where the police cannot go across the borders. So it's easier to shuffle kids around. So things of that nature, date rape, drugs. There's just a whole different kind of smorgasbord out there that young people are facing that you and I probably never faced it when we were younger, didn't have to worry about as much. But today we're trying to educate parents to make healthy families. Again, it goes back to the family. We just want healthy families to be able to protect and, like I said, and keep those boundaries and eventually in personal relationships.
Well, I think as, you know, parents, you know, people, you know, here again, sometimes they may feel so powerless or alone. Like, what do we do? Like you say, You know, growing up, we never heard of the word sex trafficking.
Yes.
You know, words like this and, you know, all of what's going on and what's facing. We didn't have our iPhones and being able to download various things and apps and all the pornography that's out there and how accessible that it is. That a lot of times as parents, it's like, how do we even, we're not equipped to fight this battle, but here again, to know that there's help out there, and a lot of what we get today in society and in the media is just all green lights to go and do what is so immoral. It's almost like this is now normalized, and to say, but it's not, and this is not healthy, it's not good for my children, it's not good for our society, and to know that there is this voice out there.
Yes.
There is this light that does shine to say, you know, I'm willing, you know, that you're willing to come into our church, into our social gathering, into our schools, whatever it is, to teach
all the
healthy boundaries, because more than ever, young people and adults today, if we don't set up some good boundaries, the world's gonna enter in and really do some harm.
Yeah, I think we don't understand the ramifications of what things of that nature can do. Like I said, about almost, the stats are a little bit difficult, but almost, we're going to get to a point here, I think within the next 10 years, a third of teens are going to have an STD issue, an STI issue. But what we're finding out, that not just because the transmittal disease is a problem, it affects them physically, they become ill. So then physically, as they become ill, they become mentally depressed, so they become mentally frustrated, or anxiety starts coming in. So there's kind of a mind, body, and soul thing going on there with them. And that's what I'm saying. These are things that are not really discussed about. They're just more talking about maybe just being a little preventative, or, you know, if you get this, there is a pill available that you can take medically. But they're not talking about the whole picture. We are a mind, body, and soul type of unit. And if one of those kind of get off balance, you know, if you're having difficult thinking, then you're going to have difficult functioning in your life. If you have physical problems, as we discussed that I went through, you have difficulties functioning, let alone if you have spiritual things. When something in your heart says it's not right, and you feel it inside, you're going to have difficulties in life. So we try to take healthy boundaries and look at somebody as a whole unit, kind of a holistic approach, and say, how do we balance that? How do we get those things balanced? Yeah, we touch on bullying and sexual abuse. I'm not saying those aren't important. They very much so, and a little more common. But we do get into, like you said, the more things, like I said, a click of the mouse, and you could go into a world that you may not have great difficulties coming out of, and having an addiction. It's another way of, I mean, sexual addiction is big among males, and it's much of a problem in our United States right now that we have faced with them.
Oh, it's just an epidemic.
Yes.
Well, very good. Well, then, boundaries. And another program that I'm really appreciative here, and that is your abstinence education. You know, I know that was so emphasized when I was young.
Yes.
And now I just don't hear about it unless somebody in a church is sharing something with some of their youth. But normally today, I mean, in our popular society today, when you watch, you know, an evening of television and you listen to what people are talking about, it just seems like it's all green lights.
Yes.
And once again, have no boundaries, and abstinence is almost a word that I think is being erased out of our dictionary.
Yes.
You know, so here again, we got this small voice, we've got this light that's shining in the darkness, and there is a program for abstinence, and how important that is, and the benefit that this would have for young people, because like you say, it's, you know, that we are people who are constructed, that God has given to us a body, a mind, and also a spirit.
That's right.
And so share a little bit about the abstinent education. What are you trying to get across there? Yeah,
our abstinent program is basically, we target a lot with the schools, the public schools, as well as the Catholic schools, the parochial schools. But we also come to the churches with these situations or other special events. But the real goal here is to teach people to say, look, you can actually wait until you can get married. That's, even though society, like you said, says no, we can't, a lot of our everyday television makes it sound like that's impossible. We even kind of use this evolution kind of thought that we're animals, that we can't really restrict ourselves. But we were discussing a little bit earlier, this experiential type of lifestyle has a great amount of risks with it. And like I said again, and as I just touched a little bit about the STD issues and things of nature, but it really does, and has a great amount of consequences, and those things are not talked. It's more talked about, maybe do preventative things, but not really discuss about how can we really stop this. And the best way to not receive or get any kind of disease or have any kind of, like you said, the troubles in your heart or your mind, is don't. have sex. And then again, like I said, it's something that's not pushed a whole lot, but we definitely believe it's biblical. God himself, we can do this. It's not impossible. People wait till they get married, believe it or not. And again, like I said, so yes, so this type of program here where how to avoid unplanned pregnancies, I just as soon spend more time on this if I could than having people come in the clinic, because by then it's too late. They obviously are pregnant, and it's an intervention more moment. You're trying to help them through a crisis. Here, we're not there yet. So I pray that if there's any program that we can get stronger in, this would be the one to stay ahead of the curve than actually have a lot of traffic coming inside our place, even though I do encourage people to come in.
Yes.
But I'd rather see this to actually take off more.
Yeah, so what a wonderful thing that, our schools and churches and, small groups, that people have within their churches and society. I know there's all kinds of social groups that meet, to say, well, let's hear what you have to say about this. I mean, we're always hearing the other side constantly. It's in our face all the time, but to be able to hear the other side, like I said, it's kind of a small voice. Oh yeah, there is that voice out there. Be able to give it a chance. And well, then there's also rock solid truth. Now, share a little bit about that.
Yeah, the rock solid truth has to do with a lot, is with, again, with our medical side, and it's basically teaching young adults that there is ways and means that we can live our lifestyle healthier, and that there is things called healthy relationships, and how do they look like, and we really want to get that to them. And the rock solid truth comes in as more the statistics, and I was touching a little bit on that, where we're showing that statistics are showing that we're going in the wrong direction. This, like I said, kind of experiential type of living, this if it feels good, I should do it type of lifestyle, is showing that when we start looking at statistics about domestic issues and abuse and sexual abuse and children being, like I said again, molested when they're at young ages, or looking at, like I said, transmitted diseases, whatever the case may be, all those are increasing. They're on the rise. They're not becoming less. So that gives some indication that a lot of times the sex education out there is really, based on the numbers, are showing we're going in the wrong direction. We need to pull back and actually start saying, you know what, I can refrain. I can actually do an honorable thing. I mean, I always said this before, and a little bit touch on this. It would be nice that you could date some man's wife-to-be and go to his wedding and shake his hand and look him eye to eye and say, I dated her, and like I said again, I took care of her until you came. I thought maybe I was going to be that man, but I wasn't. You are. And you can feel no shame and feel no disgrace with that. I mean, I know it seems like, it sounds old school, but I think that's a great thing for men and women to feel, such a great honor, to bring things of that nature back that has a value than so much where we're heading toward today.
To have a clean heart, to have a good conscience, to be able to walk with your head up high.
Yes.
And those values need to be ingrained in our society. So much of the music that people listen to today all encourages unlawful sexual relationships, immoral. The television programs and the movies that that are out there, and all the stuff on the internet, and then the peer pressure, and then the lack of having a solid moral foundation. It just seems like the perfect storm for so many problems. But what I appreciate is you mentioned the word health. The health of the person, the health of the family, the health of society. Just as a person, I mean, to be healthy is a lot better than being sick. And I'd say that, as far as being in society, to be living in a healthy society is a lot better than living in a dysfunctional or a very sick society. And so here again, to emphasize, these Christian truths, that God has given to us, but now to highlight them and have some programs here that are actually going to say that, your life is going to be better if you follow God's way. The outcome and the health of your person and the health of your family is going to be so much stronger. Well, so you mentioned some very good programs, the counseling that the Clarity Clinic provides, these good programs that you or somebody from the Clarity Clinic are willing to go out into churches, to gatherings, to share and to be about this, to bring hope and health to people and to our community. Are there any other programs that I didn't touch on here, that we didn't touch on?
I think we covered most that we're looking at today. At this point, these are the main ones that we have felt, like you're saying, about this healthy lifestyle, because we do believe it's very important. A lot of times, even if, again, not only are they biblically, like you're saying, and they do have some and have strong truth with them, but like I said, even secular statistics are showing, like I said again, that we're really not heading in the right direction. So, yeah, so our goal here is to look at the family as a unit and say we want a healthy lifestyle, and we want to show you what a paradigm looks like that. And like I said again, and then experience that. Once you've experienced that, you start realizing, maybe there is something to that. So yes.
Okay, well, as far as supporting the Clarity Clinic, and here again, this is a faith-based organization, and so the funding comes from individuals.
Yes.
And so much of what the Clarity Clinic needs is, certainly financial support, but also the support of volunteers, people who are willing to come and to help with the Clarity Clinic. I know in our church, and it's something that you've emphasized in a lot of churches,
yes,
having this baby bottle campaign where you fill the baby bottle full of money. And so we'll share a little bit about how people can, how can people go about supporting the Clarity Clinic in the little time that we have here.
Yep. I think long and short of it all, yes, if you have time and you want to volunteer time, we always need volunteers. It's very much needed. If you have an RN or medical background, all the better if you're going to be a volunteer, because obviously we work a lot in that field, or a counseling background, that makes it even better. But we do also look for gifts, because again, our two things. One, all our services are free. Number two, we receive no federal, no state, no local grant money. It's strictly supported by the community. And again, like I said, when you talk about inclusiveness or you talk about diversity, because our programs are free and there's no eligibility or based on income or anything, then all actually are welcome. Anybody can come and use our services. So yes, so we have a baby bottle event that we ask them to come in on. You can also come in and we have envelopes that they can give money to, one-time gifts, whatever the case, or they can head to actually our website, which is www.clarityclinic, or go to www.partnersofclarityclinic.com. That's another way of giving. So you could go online and just make a quick little click and you can donate to us.
Yeah, very good. And so what a wonderful ministry, Jim. I'm just so excited for all the good work that God does in and through you and the Clarity Clinic. And here again, the more people that we can get involved, the more people supporting and volunteering, the stronger that this voice and this light, the voice will be and the light will shine. And so we all need to get involved and to do our part. And so thanks, Jim, for being here today.
Thank
God
you so
bless
much.
you.
Yes, thank you so
God
much.
bless all of you for joining us this day as well.